Welcome to Digital Matters 2021, supported again by our friends at Facebook. This year we are going to stay 100% virtual, but this year we're going to stretch the sessions out over a few months, and we hope to address some really hot but equally important topics. And kicking things off today, we're looking at purpose, we're looking at diversity and inclusion, with not one but two sessions. At the helm today is Alina Lai from Facebook. She's joined with us here. Alina, tell us a little about yourself and what you do for Facebook.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jasper. And I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Selena, as Jasper has shared, and I'm from the Entertainment Partnerships team in Facebook. So our role on the team is to help our partners to achieve their objectives and to be successful on Facebook. And our partners range from public figures and creators to media organizations and digital publishers. So really the range of objectives that we work with our partners on range very widely, from video and content strategy to monetization, social good, audience development, etc. And this really brings us to our first session today, which is through our work supporting our partners on Facebook, we have had the chance to work with two amazing women leaders who have leveraged the Facebook platform to drive change and positive impact to the community, to their businesses, and also people's lives. And we're so grateful and honored to be able to have them here today to share with us their stories. So first up, I want to introduce Jay Block. Jay is the president at Outbound Asia, which is an events management and production house company based in the Philippines. Now, when COVID-19 hit Philippines in the early part of last year, the disadvantaged communities were hit especially hard. And together with a core group, Jay led a quick and large-scale community-led and citizen response fundraising campaign called the Bayanihan Musikahan project to raise funds for the community. This project brought together various organizations and hundreds of volunteer artists for a series of virtual concerts online to raise funds for the community. And a total of $2.5 million US dollars were raised through this campaign. Now, Jade, thank you so much for being here today. This is such an amazing story and brought such wide impact to the community and to the country. Can you tell us more about how you and the core group came together and to champion this campaign together?
Hi, Alina. Thank you very much. Happy to be here. This is my second time here, actually. I was here last year. To tell you about Bayanihan Musikan. So we really started on Facebook, because it started with a post from one of my good friends, Mr. Ryan Cayabyab, who's the national artist for music of the Philippines. And he was talking about, could we jam online, right? Because the pandemic was just starting then and the lockdown was just implemented in the Philippines. And I saw this message and I commented on it and I said, hey, we can actually do that. In another conversation on Facebook Messenger, 3 other people were talking, and that was Trina Belamide, who's a songwriter and music producer, Marian Pastor Roses, who's a world-renowned art critic and curator, and Dan Songko, who's a civil society leader. And they were talking about how could we somehow help people who would not have access to food, because no one was able to go out, you cannot work, right? So they were thinking about the vulnerable sectors of our society. And somehow Trina put us together in a Facebook Messenger chat group, right? So, and then she said, maybe you guys can work together, because I saw you saying this to Mr. C and we were talking about this. And so that's when Bayanihan Musikahan was born. We started talking March 15, we were up and running by March 19. It took us about 4 or 5 days to plan this, but somehow the way we ran it, because maybe of our backgrounds and our expertise, we ran it like a corporate campaign, right? Because I'm an event organizer by profession. So we were able to somehow talk about the objectives, for example, for the campaign. And we said, you know, it has to focus on music because we wanted to lift people's spirits because they were down. Everyone was concerned, didn't know what was going to happen, right? So we said maybe that's something that, could bring everyone together. We could entertain them in the evening and then use it as a platform to somehow help and solicit funds for those who will be in need of money because of this lockdown. And so somehow thinking about that, we said, okay, how long are we going to run the campaign? So we said, maybe 3 days, right? Or let's see, maybe 10 days, depends on how much we want to solicit. So we thought of a figure and we said, maybe 10 million would be a good target, right? Okay, so let's start with the first 3 days and we ran it, the first online event ever, right? In the pandemic. And we started with 2 million already somehow because our corporate partner PBSP came in seeing that we were wanting to somehow target that value, so we needed the support of a real fund manager to manage the solicitation and talk to corporate partners. And then we thought, okay, we might have the money, but we need to find a way to distribute it as well. So how do we do the on ground and make sure people know where the money is going? So we added 2 people there. So one is Ray Laguda from PBSP, and then the second was Ms. Dinky Soliman, who was the former Secretary for Social Welfare and Development. And she brought with her an organization, SNPP, of community leaders somehow helping the poor. And they had 100,000 members on ground. So what happened was, whatever we solicited, right, that was given to them for distribution. And by the time we hit, I think, 1 week, we already met our target of 10 million. But people were still interested, and we felt, how excited people were and how uplifted they felt, attending the online concerts. It was the first time also. So we said, okay, let's continue. And that led us to running Bayanihan Musikahan for 2 straight months, right? And that's how that started.
That's really amazing. And the figures that you quoted are in Filipino peso, right? So the eventual amount that you actually got and through this campaign was multiple times of what you were expecting. But maybe
Correct.
let's take a step back and share with us a bit more about how the name of the project, Bayanihan Musikahan, came about. And for those of us, including myself, who are not familiar with Tagalog, I fumbled at it just now, even though I've practiced it so many times. Can you share with us what it means?
Right. So Bayanihan just means coming together of people, to address a certain issue, providing resources that they can deliver themselves. So it's, I guess in simple terms, you can call it citizen action. In the old days, Bayanihan, I mean, for us Filipinos, the very clear picture of that is if you go to the province, right, and there's a nipa hut and that house needs to be moved somewhere, people in that community would come together and help you move that house and carry that house and move it. And that is Bayanihan, right? So that's how Bayanihan is defined. We adapted that because at the end of the day, it was us coming together and trying to do something for the country. So we said, okay, why not the word Bayanihan?
That is so amazing, and as you say, really coming together, and as you've shared, it's really bringing across a lot of community leaders from different organizations, and more than 160 artists who volunteered their time for the virtual concerts. Can you share with us a bit more about how you managed to get everyone together around a common goal? And as you said, it's just based on 4 to 5 days of planning. How did you achieve that?
I think it was really all about trust, right? Because when we started, there were just 5, and then we added 2, which was Ray and Dinky. We became 7. And then eventually, because of the figures that we were targeting, we said, well, we have to somehow operate on a larger scale. So we each had our own specific functions. So, for example, Trina Belamide talked to the artists, and the way that worked is through her network. So it's trust again and goodwill, right? So she knew Girly Rodis, who immediately just said, yes, okay, I'm gonna make a Facebook chat group and I'm gonna put all the artists there. So imagine, right? One chat group with all of the major Philippine artists in the Philippines are there, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm fanning, right? I'm standing them, okay? But that was amazing because that doesn't happen, you know? For PBSP, for example, because they have been in the business for 50 years and they have been doing this, right? For somehow promoting social development in the country. They are very well experienced. So they knew who to tap, who to ask money from. The donations were not small. They were like 2 million, 5 million, 10 million. We even got to 20 million, right? Some in kind, some in cash. For Marian, her experience in communications is quite extensive. She guided our communications and the way we presented ourselves. You know, we were careful about not being political because this is for everyone, right? So in that aspect, at the back end of that communications department, we really had departments. We had analytics, we had a PR team, we had a digital team and a production team, which my company managed, right? And we were really running it, as I said, like a corporation. So there were day-to-day stuff that we were doing to somehow ensure, right, that the campaign was really running well and in the way that we expected it to run. Logistics, in the case of Dinky, and why I say also it's all about trust and goodwill, is because when we talked about distribution, for example, we bought like sacks and cavans of rice, right? But of course, we needed to redistribute them and repack them. But we didn't have the manpower at the time to do it. And so we thought, okay, who would be a good support for this? We had a group of people who we were already giving meals to in a school. They were all homeless people, right? About 100 of them. So what we did is we asked them to repack the rice for distribution, right? So suddenly they became involved, right? They suddenly felt this sense of pride. And when we made a video, right, somehow documenting this experience, they were so happy to be able to give back, because normally, you know, when you're homeless, people give to you and you feel, you know, like you don't have anything to contribute, right? So that was the kind of community spirit that Bayanihan Musikahan somehow fostered when it was running. Partnerships, for example, were created and established by Dan Songko, who's really an entrepreneur. So he somehow forged and created partnerships with different organizations to expand the reach of Bayanihan Musikahan. Not only, of course, on Facebook, we also reached out to partners like ABS-CBN, who gave us 20, I think, million donations in kind to be distributed as well. Yeah, and of course, Mr. C. Mr. C is Ryan Cayabyab. We fondly call him Mr. C, right? He became the face of Bayanihan Musikahan. And Ryan, if you know him well, he is really the most humble person you'll ever meet, right? And everyone loves him. So when he says, I want to do this, it's easy to convince people, you know, to follow, right? So if you get to it, it's really all about the trust and the goodwill that you have created before, you know, because you don't know how it's going to happen. Like, for example, when Ray was talking to the farmers, right, to deliver fresh food, because we didn't want to give away canned goods. We wanted to give fresh food so that the farmers, the fishermen, would somehow be able to earn as well, because everyone was really on lockdown. So he said to me, you know what, Jay, I didn't even know if they could deliver, but they were referred by people that I trusted, right? And so I bought and I gave them the money and I said, you bring it there and there will be people from SNPP who will pick up the goods from you and then they will redistribute. And that happened, right? And I tell you, we don't know them, but not a single pack was lost for anything that we delivered to anyone. Yeah. So So that's why I'm saying it's a lot of trust and goodwill that somehow made Bayanihan Musikahan happen.
That's amazing. Trust and goodwill, trusting people, depending on them, and also empowering them and letting them know that they can make a difference as well to the community, whatever role that they play and in whatever position they are. Well, last question from me for this section. I'm particularly excited that this campaign was executed over Facebook. Can you tell me a bit more how Facebook was selected and what role the platform played in this campaign?
Yes, definitely. As I said, we really started on Facebook. Facebook was our home, right? It's also the #1 social media platform in the Philippines. And so it was somehow a given that we will do it on Facebook. It was a very important platform for us because it allowed, the artists to be able to feel that the audience was interacting with them, right? Because we were doing virtual events. We were trailblazing, right? This is the first time we're doing virtual events. So the likes, the comments, when you try, to speak to someone on a virtual platform and you're performing and you are speaking right now, you're just seeing a screen. It's very hard to translate emotions, right? But those tools that Facebook had provided for interactivity between, the speaker and the audience, those somehow helped them, understand and appreciate that people were actually happy with what they were doing because they cannot hear the claps. Right. For example, Leia Salonga, Tony Award winner Leia Salonga of Miss Saigon, she said, it was very good for my mental health, right, to experience this because I didn't know if I could perform again, and somehow doing it through Bayanihan Musikan and for such a good cause, right, that, she was able to perform again. And she was a little teary-eyed saying that we got emotional too, because she could see the comments and how people were grateful for it. It wasn't the money, right? Another thing is the donate button of Facebook. So that helped us a lot because while we were getting somehow funds from the different corporations, we realized, there will be some donor fatigue later on, and we needed to tap on individual donations, right? And that's when the donate button was implemented. That somehow streamlined the way people could donate to the project because it's just really a click of a button, right? The only thing is Facebook helped us because it wasn't really available at the Philippines at the time. So we had to somehow find a way how to do that. So we connected with Philippine International Aid, which is based in the US, to accept the funding and then transfer it back to the Philippines. So I hope that's something you can actually enable in the Philippines because it's really, really helpful for campaigns, especially for fundraising campaigns.
We're definitely working on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay, for sharing with us the amazing story of this fundraising project. And huge congratulations on the success of Bayanihan Musikahan and also the positive impact that you've brought to the community and country. We'll come back to you again after we've heard from our other speaker for today. Now, next, I want to introduce Trang, who is the founder and CEO of Multimedia JSC from Vietnam. Multimedia JSC is a production company which has delivered hugely popular shows such as Vietnam's Next Top Model, Project Runway Vietnam, etc. And as CEO and founder of Multimedia JSC, Trang has pivoted the company through various opportunities and challenges, including transforming the company from producing content solely for traditional media to becoming a leading content creator for digital platforms. And more recently, developing new business strategies for the company that enabled it to thrive and grow even in the midst of COVID-19. Trang, it's so great to have you here with us today. Amongst your many, many achievements, you are also a very prominent figure in the fashion industry. Huge congratulations again on being awarded the knighthood of the Order of the Star of Italy. I understand that this medal is awarded to individuals who have made huge contributions in the fashion industry, and you're the first person from Vietnam that has achieved this award. Can you tell us a bit more about the award and how you've transformed the fashion and modeling industry in Vietnam throughout these years?
Hi everyone, my name is Trang. I am the CEO and founder of the Multimedia JSC company in Vietnam. So it's a long journey. We already established for 16 years until since 2005, and now it's 16 years. And recently, yes, very honored. I just got that bestowing, become the knighthood of Star Order of Italia. It's a very truly great honor because for myself, but actually it's not only for me. I think it's for Vietnamese fashion and for the long journey, how we transform not just only a model and also for fashion, Vietnamese fashion in the global map. And people usually say that it's not about the medals. After medals, a lot of story, a lot of work hard and dedication and passion. And, last 15 years, Vietnam's still a very new market about modeling and fashion. And even me, I never thought I will become a leader in this industry in Vietnam, because I was graduated from Finance and Accounting University. I also I got a master degree in finance and accounting as well. I never thought that I would work in media or fashion or modeling, but it's like a destiny. I started when I produced the show name, and I tell you that I'm very short. I'm just 150 meter. I'm not a model as well, but now I will transform the Vietnamese model a lot. And now the journey start when we start produce format reality show named Vietnam's Next Top Model. We licensed from American Next Top Model show in US from supermodel Tyra Banks is the creator for the show. And to be honest, I start from zero about everything, from my experience, my network. Didn't know anybody in fashion or model industry in Vietnam also. The reason why I start to produce that, because we start in 2005, and then 2010 we start with produce Next Top Model. But since 2005 to 2010, we focus in distributing TV rights. We license many content from overseas, from US, from over the world, from China, from Korea, from Europe, and we license to Vietnam, and we use like a voiceover, and we sell the format we use Vietnamese voiceover, and then we sell to many TV channel in Vietnam. So I would say we distribute the content for television for many TV stations. Yeah. So because of that reason, so I attend many TV markets in the world. And because of that reason, I knew the format named American Next Top Model, because the CBS is the biggest one in US for TV station. So I saw a big poster in the main entrance for Midcom Mid TV in Kansas City that this format is already produced and airing in 170 countries. So at that time, I just a bit curious. I asked myself, oh, I don't know how it could be so successful like that. So I start curious about that. I start searching on Google, on YouTube. I start watching about the show. So at that moment, I just thought that, oh, if I could bring this format to Vietnam. First, I can help many Vietnamese women can transform themselves. Because since I watch it, I learned so much things for myself. So start from that point only. So it's not easy to get that license, because at that time multimedia is still very new and young company. While CBS is a big corporation in the world, not just in the US. So it's not easy to get it, but it's a long journey. But we already took 3 years for dealing, and it's a lot of work. Then finally we got it. It's the first journey we get it. Then when we got it in our hand, I didn't know how to start, because they give us the Bible, but it's all the new language, new word for me. I didn't know how to start. So a lot of work I have to experience with myself. But then finally, one day I remember I licensed in January of 2010, but in the middle of the year, after 6 months, we still couldn't do anything yet. then CBS sent me an email, Trang, we need to come to Vietnam to see how you prepare. When they came, after they come back, they say that no, it's a poor preparation, so we have to terminate the contract, or we have to wait until you be ready because it's too poor for preparation. And Next Top Model is the format worldwide famous, so we cannot start with this type of production preparation. So I was so worried. And then immediately I took the trip to US to learn, it's a long journey. But I mean, finally, we don't have enough time to listen this journey. But I mean, we start from beginning is a zero. But we already made it. First season's very successful, and it's marked for the market about something new with the modeling standard. Before even myself, I just thought that okay, look at the long leg girl. They can be a model, but it's not only like that. Even I couldn't distinguish between the difference between the beauty of models and Miss. But now, since Vietnam Next Top Model appeared in the market, so it changed a lot. So after Vietnam Next Top Model first season, I thought, oh, we spent $1 million to produce the show, a lot of work hard. So what to do next with the winner? Because if she not be successful, so my show will not be successful. That's the story behind the scene. Then I decide to contact with the other international market to find a job for them. So because of that reason, and I start connect with some model agency in international market, and then because of that reason, I brought our model to attend some fashion week in US, in Singapore, in Paris, in some country, and because of that reason, I start observe when I was in backstage with the model. Then I capture something and I start dreaming when Vietnam can organize something like this, like a fashion week in international level. And I build my dream. It took me 3 years to make it happen. And then, okay, after Next Top Model, I will do the same. I thought, okay, we got model, so we need to have a designer. So we also licensed another show named Project Runway. So with Project Runway, we did the same. We also brought our winner to attend Fashion Week in Paris and US. So when I went with model, I learned something from backstage. I went with designer. I also learned something from backstage. So my dream to organize Fashion Week is bigger and bigger. So after 3 years, so I decided to make it. After a lot of experience, I travel with model and designer. Then it is how the Fashion Week start in Vietnam and how I can transform the modeling and designer and fashion in Vietnam. And it take too long. Now Vietnam International Fashion Week is not only a fashion platform for designers to show the latest collection. Vietnam International Fashion Week now, and not only for Vietnamese designer, we also invite many designers from over the world, from all Asia, from global to attend. That's why it's called Vietnam International Fashion Week. And because of that reason, Vietnam International Fashion Week now become like a bridge to connect many different cultures in the world. And because of that reason, we work with not just in fashion, we work with many represent for the country in Vietnam with many embassies. So that's the reason why we work very strongly with Italy embassy, French, and UK, US, many embassies in Vietnam. And because of that reason, before, if I was lonely by myself to go out and discover everything by myself and transform by myself. And now with support from embassy in Vietnam, like if I want to meet any partner in Italy or in France, I got to represent here from embassy to connect me. So make our opportunity become bigger and bigger. So it's a long journey, but I mean, so Italian embassies here, ambassadors and consul general, they saw what we achieved, not for Vietnamese fashion, but also for developed fashion between Vietnam and Italy. That's why I got that medal. So it's a long journey, sorry, but I mean, like, it's just not the medal. It's behind the medal. It's a lot of story and work hard. And very honored for that, yeah.
No, thank you so much for sharing that. It's such an incredible story. You're transformation and driving change, not just for a company but also for a vision and also for a country. And I love what you said about really starting from zero and a lot of hard work. And it's about having a vision of something, being able to transform into a different way, and how do you put in the hard work in order to execute towards that vision. I love that. And likewise as well, for back to your company, JSC Multimedia, I understand that the journey was also very similar. As you said at the start, it's about distributing TV rights to international shows, and eventually you actually transform your company to become a digital focused one. And very recently also rode through the challenges that COVID-19 brought. Can you share with us a bit more about the journey of JSC Multimedia and how you, in your leadership role, aligned everyone and motivated everyone for all the transformation and changes that you've made with the company?
Okay, life is the journey. It's with many small journey, and the fashion and model journey is one of that. But another one for multimedia, so we start with from beginning, as I share from beginning, we start with distribute the TV content for many TV station. And then from 2005 to 2010, we only licensed the finished program and sell to the TV channel. So from 2010, since we start produce a next top model Project Runway Fashion Week. So we license and we have another content is a localize all the format to our market. Then, but from 2005 until 2018, we only focus on TV. We're very strong on TV. We work everything on TV. But 2018 have a one time when we was very successful before with any show we produce on TV. But 2018 we have a new show. The name is The Face. So The Face airing another TV channel. It's not the biggest one as before, the smaller channel. But our sponsor asked us have to commit the rating, the viewership as the Vietnam Next Top Model or Project Runway when we air another TV channel. And we know that we cannot make the deal with that commitment. It's only on TV because we know that now the viewership on TV is going down. Why? The life changed, and before only TV, now like a smartphone era with a lot of change in lifestyle, in the way people enjoy life as well. And even we travel a lot, so we cannot watch TV all the time. So smartphone become a very convenient and like a partner, accompany with us. So we know we know that we don't want to lose that deal because the same amount from beginning we want to air on the nationwide TV channel, but we cannot make it. Then we air on a smaller one when we don't want to lose that sponsorship packet. So at that time, we know that if we don't keep the commitment, we will lose the deal. That's why I am very brave to give the idea that can we also even viewership on TV. You only care about viewership, right? So we have another way to reach to viewership is the digital, is online platform. So instead of only commit for TV rating, we give the solution that we combine with online viewership. So we give them like a 10 million viewers per episode. To be honest, at that time, I feel a bit nervous if you cannot make it. But the Face Vietnam was super successful. It's a multiple viewership with after that season, and we feel very strong confident that even for the live final finale live show, we already reached to 185,000 viewer online in the same time on Facebook. So it's never happened in Vietnam before, but we made it. We make the milestone for the online watching. So we so confident, and we realize that before if we only upload our show we still upload on YouTube or Facebook just for marketing to promote the show. We don't care much about the viewer because normally we only commit on TV. But because of that reason, then we realized that, oh, how powerful with a digital platform. And then it's very lucky. That's the same time we have a partnership with Facebook in 2018. And it's totally changed our business and it transformed our business as well. And another milestone in 2019, I have a trip to New York with Facebook team. We attend Facebook Summit Facebook Summit video in New York. So I got a chance to meet many big corporations in US. I listened all their successful story and come back to Vietnam. First thing, I restructure all our business because I realized that we have a huge data content library, data in our library. But before, instead of only airing the finished program, now we can utilize everything to make it get the more viewership and engagement with the audience. So we start produce it more and more, and we can see the change every month. And start last year since March, whole Vietnam lockdown. And that is a very, very hard time because normally we are production company and event organizer. All offline event shut down. We couldn't do anything. And it's time for me to have a very important meeting with my team. So, my staff, they very share with the company. And they say like, boss, maybe we can close because we've got 2 offices, one in Hanoi, one in Ho Chi Minh City. They say we can find somewhere smaller. We can reduce the cost. So I asked my staff, no, I don't want it because I feel like, okay, anyway, pandemic, it's just a temporary. It's not forever. So what's the next after pandemic finish in next few months? Then we have to find another office again? No, why? Why instead of thinking about close business or make it smaller, we don't find a way to make our business survive? That's why it's a time for us to think more, and then I decide to change the strategy in stronger level by because that time all offline event closed and shut down. Then only online. People still can work from home, can edit. You can utilize all our content library instead of before only. We're shooting normally for reality show 4 to 5 days for one episode, but we only edit for 1 hour on TV, and the rest of footage throw it away, never touch about. And now all the it's called we call like a rubbish, rubbish become the golden money. Then we can utilize and we can realize that, oh my God, from before our Facebook get only nearly 1 million followers. But after 1 year, now we have over 5 million, and until now it's nearly 10 million until this time. And we realize that, it's not only can help us to survive during pandemic, but also we can keep the engagement with our audience every day. We still have something to watch. So the follower is increased higher and higher. So the number of the followers increase rapidly. So it's a lot of benefit when we utilize on Facebook. And that's why we was very honored to become the very successful story in 2020 on Facebook network that I think that the number is not like a huge yet compared with many other big corporations, but for us, it's something very big transformation. And we're very strong confident with the way we are doing right now, like continue develop Facebook. Even now, today, I'm at home. We still work from home for another outbreak, but the system still running and very strongly. Yeah.
It's such a great story of agility, hearing how you've transformed the business and also look for alternative ways of generating new revenue for the business. And again, huge congratulations on how you've grown the company and the transformations that the company has made under your leadership. Thank you so much, Trang. And at this point in time, I want to bring back Jay as well so that we can have a 3-way chit chat. Thank you again for sharing all of your inspirational stories and your leadership role in driving change and making impact to businesses, entire industry, to the country, etc. And driving change has never been easy, as we hear from many of your stories, some of the hard work and also struggles and challenges that you have faced as you drive change. Can you share with us, as a parting statement, any parting thoughts on advice for us and the rest of the audience here today that might be in a similar situation, having to drive change, be it for the community, for their businesses? What is your advice on how to take on a leadership role, aligning people towards a common vision and making sure that people are motivated behind that common vision? Maybe we'll start with Jay.
All right. For me, I think you really have to work with people that you trust and people who you know would have the expertise to bring in the outcome that you desire. And when you do the project, to me, it's always important that you do it with good intent. You know, as they say, you know, when you do business, you also do it in good faith. I think that's more important, you know, than the economic gain that you are looking to, right? Because eventually, when you do that, you will reap the rewards naturally, right? It will just come, especially when you've done a good job of it. Because goodwill goes, you know, a longer way, right, than the profits that you will make for anything. So that's what I would advise. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. And Trang, any advice for the rest of us?
Okay, for me, I think I am a very positive person because I think like in our lives, always have a challenge. So in front of the facing with the challenge, so we only have two choices: be positive or negative. And I always choose be positive. Why? Because when you choose become negative, it means you only close the door in front of you. Say no. No means that you close everything. When you say yes, how we can make it? Be positive. Then you can see a little door, a little shine on the tunnel, right? So then we can find the solution, how we can make it. And as a leader, it's very important because during with the facing with the challenge, we know that it's not only myself. In our shoulder have a lot of responsibility and people based on us. If we keep negative, we will make whole team down. That's why even to be honest, sometimes in ourselves we can sometimes we feel a bit negative, but we have to be very strong to show a strength in front of our team to convince them that we still have something other way to deal with. We can do something, maybe not perfect as we wish, but something will happen, and it's a way to create something new. Like now, today, at this moment, normally we will meet somewhere in person to make the talking like in person, right? But because of COVID-19, because of pandemic, we still find another way. We still can look at each other. We still can communicate. We can still can share over the borders, and we still can make it. It's another change, right? So I love the message, make the change. Because actually, the world's already changed. If we only sit down and complain about the situation and do nothing, nothing will happen. But if we keep positive, we will find the solution. That's my the point of view all the time. I keep the positive thinking. Yeah.
That's great. That's amazing. And there is so much that, at least for me, I took away today from both of your stories. The need to have trust and goodwill in people, empowering people so that they know they can make a difference and contribute as well. Being courageous and having a vision, being positive and innovative, and know that there is always a way, even though times might be challenging, but just be positive and be brave in order to effect change and to drive change. Thank you so much again, Jay and Trang, for your generous sharing. And to our audience, thank you for your time. And if you're interested to hear more inspiring stories, please do check out our Facebook Success Stories blog at www.facebook.com/facebookmedia/success-stories. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you so much. And what wonderful, wonderful messages of positivity. We talked about trust, goodwill, empowerment, and that wonderful message of be brave to drive change. So thank you again to Trang, to Jay, and to Alina. Up next this afternoon, round 2 of Digital Matters in partnership with our friends at Facebook, 4 p.m. Singapore and Hong Kong. This afternoon, we are going to be blasting stereotypes with 2 more incredible women. We have a photographer, Siza Cruz Bacani, and we have a news and public affairs personality, Karina Sanchez Rojas. And they're both going to be moderated by Facebook's very own Ana Rodriguez de la Cruz. So please do join us 4 o'clock this afternoon.